This program is brought to you by Pay Global.
Talk Africa, the program that brings you closer to home by discussing all issues pertaining to the continent. Today in the studio we have Idris Adishina. Idris Adishina is the editor of Alternative Africa, and also Kofi Ali, a political analyst and an ECOWAS citizens' rights advocate. Kofi and Idris, good morning.
Morning, sir. Morning.
Did I say good morning, Kofi?
Well, morning, brother Idris. Morning.
I like that.
Well, okay. Just want to let our listeners and viewers know you can tune in by going on our Facebook page, GNTV UK, or you can listen on radio, GN Radio. The first part of today's show, we're going to review stories that made the headlines in the newspapers here in the UK. And in the second part, we turn our attentions to stories making the headlines across the continent. And then the third part, which will talk about our topic of the day. And the topic of the day today is the Economic Community of West African States, also known as ECOWAS. Okay, are the objectives of ECOWAS being met by the member states? That's the question. I'm sure a lot of people heard of ECOWAS and what they do and what they're trying to achieve. We'll get to that. Okay, so let's start with the paper review this morning, and let me start with you, Idris. What story have you picked this morning from the papers here?
Yes, it's very interesting. We have the Times here on my table here, and we have the Sun, and we all know the biggest story in town now, but in Europe, is the Panama issue of tax in Panama, and yes, they've all reported it. But in the way the media will be, they've reported it from different angles. Okay. And it's very interesting either way because the Times has led with Apple, refusing to talk about UK now, talking about American involvement in that secret Dutch tax, where he says the US firm's secret move to avoid multi-billion tax bill. He's talking about the Apple now. The Apple exploited Jesse's financial status to reduce liabilities. And from the Sun, you have top BBC stars funneled £2 million into tax Dutch scheme.
This is the tax evasion.
The tax evasion now. See, the most interesting thing about the narrative here is that when it was reported some few days ago that Her Majesty's business too had a tick, lodged about £10 million there. The stories was that the coin was dragged into this financial mess, but now all these people who have also been allegedly dragged into this, the media is prosecuting them now, where the Queen's been left.
So you're saying the Queen should also be prosecuted?
No. What I'm saying is that they should also say that the Queen too is involved, not that the Queen has been dragged into it.
Okay.
Others too should have been dragged into it because they all have financial accountants.
Yes.
That's my story. It should be well reported.
Yeah.
If Queen has been dragged into it, Apple too must have been dragged into it. The Mrs. Brown's boys too must have been dragged into it. So there shouldn't be that Mrs. Brown's boys are guilty, Apple is guilty, but the Queen has been dragged into it. There are two different narratives.
Okay. What other story?
Yeah. Another one is the sad story of the 5-year-old baby. Mother faces 5-year jail terms for Johnson's. The issue. Okay, let's leave that for Kofi.
Yeah, I think Kofi. I think you wanted to do one sports one, didn't you?
Yes, I wanted to do another sport. That's the final one. The story about our brother in Nigeria, Melano, who was left Chelsea, is a very shock departure. Nobody expected it because we saw him on Saturday when nobody knew he was waving goodbye. On Saturday when he was congratulating the boys for beating Manchester United. But the story broke very late yesterday that he's left Chelsea. But the good thing about Menano is that he's leaving Chelsea as one of the best hands Chelsea is losing. He's been there for 10 good years. And he has oversaw the Chelsea from just run into title contenders, into Champions League winner into several titles within a short period of 10 years. Not only that, Melano was also enlarged the business empire of Chelsea because he was involved in almost every, and it's very good to know that today in the pages of Sun is being celebrated as a bad departure for Chelsea.
All right, and before I move on to Kofi, I'm getting messages. We're being told that we're not currently on radio, GN Radio. We're doing our best to sort it out. We're not currently on GN Radio. So, Kofi?
Yes, quickly. My story here has to do with what they call an 18-month-old baby who was killed, murdered by her own adopted father. And we have a fitness instructor who inflicted catastrophic injuries on his 18-month-old adopted daughter, has been found guilty of murder. Matthew Scully Hicks, 31, shook Elsie violently, that's the name of the baby, Elsie, and struck her head, causing her to sustain fractured skulls. Then, in fact, at other places, we heard Mr. Skolky referring to the poor baby as he wept in the court, and this is how he described it, say, a psycho, the exorcist, and he also called her Satan dressed up in a baby group.
Yeah.
The challenge here is, you wanted the baby, that's why you adopted her, to give her a home, to give her a chance. And now bringing in the baby then became a problem to, you are talking about, he's a fitness instructor. Yeah. So he might be someone well built. Striking this poor baby at the age of 18 technically has terminated their life. But the beautiful thing about the society we talk about is that they don't sleep. Yeah. They go to the root cause of it and address it. That has been addressed, and I'm sure it's
and particularly the care officers who had allowed those things, who have missed those areas, they will also...
Well, we have had this, like you remember Baby P and so on and so forth. And when things like, you see, we live in human society, things do happen, but it's how it's addressed. And I'm sure hers will rule, although the care officers too came up to say that they saw marks on her body and so forth, and how they reacted. I'm sure that was going to be dealt with properly. Again, we have Boris Gav Coldham jail mom. Here we are talking about what we call her, Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe. Is a notorious, and she's now in Iran prison. Yeah. And the case, we have the foreign minister in facing a panel, a committee. And the statement he gave, everyone will be expecting him to defend her because she's a British citizen. She was in Iran and things went wrong. She'd been arrested and she's detained now there. Now, what the foreign minister actually said was a bit challenging because he instead of, maybe he's being a bit political, as usual. We know Boris is very good at that. Yeah. Probably he's trying to, dance to the Iranians, what do you call it? Tune. So that, like he said, he concluded by saying that, we knew she did something wrong, but I'm going to work very well with the foreign minister of Iran. Technically, it's opening door. Well, some people felt, what he said, he should leave his position. There have been so many things said, but I think, sometimes in the diplomatic circle, things like this happen, and I think let's look at it from both sides. What is important is to get mother back home. She has almost a child who is not up to, I don't think the child is up to 2 years.
And you think what Boris has confirmed that she was guilty will set her free?
Well,
that is the problem in Iran. It's a confirmation that she is guilty, and we can go ahead to administer our punishment. After all, his own minister had confirmed that she was guilty.
We learned she has been brought back to court anyway, and some people are saying yes, because of what Boris said, that's why they are doing it. But there's another thing we need to understand. Boris is now coming in to say, something, she's a British citizen, yes, we have a duty of care to her. Whatever she has done wrong, on moral ground, let her go. And it works.
Just come a bit closer to your microphone for me.
Yes, and it works. You understand? It works. So let's see how it plays out. Some people are saying if it gets out of hand, Boris must lose his job. But we hope it doesn't.
I don't think that's going to call him because, see, Boris is a man with 9 lives. We must understand that Boris is Boris. He's done so many things. He's done so many things wrong. He's made so many gaps. You see, what we are saying here is that if a minister is to be a minister, there is the need for the minister to get enough briefings before you just open your mouth and talk on any issue. That is the problem with Boris. Boris has done several things, has made several mistakes.
Well, you can see that conclusion you make. You can't say several mistakes. What are mistakes? Who judge who? What we want to do here is that it's a game. Remember, this man was a mayor of London for 8 years. People thought he won't get there. This man is an Oxford product.
Look.
Yes.
Look, there's difference between when you are a mayor of London and when you are a minister representing the United Kingdom. There are two different things. You speak for London. It's different when you speak for the entire country. This is the foreign minister. That position is a very sensitive position where you deal with several countries. It's different from a mayor of London. There are two different issues.
Again, we have to understand. You see, it's about delivery. Boris has been delivering. Remember, there are so many, even within the party, there are cases where they say, he's eyeing the prime ministerial position. But at the end of the day, he's still there. So that tells you that, you see, he has a way of going about this business. And what is important is delivery. And he's delivering. And another thing, UK at times, you don't want all foreign ministers to be straitjackets like Michael Fallon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who are, like the one who was in America, the Chancellor. Is it of Exchequer? Yeah, in America, what he said and so on and so forth. But what you have to understand, sometimes you need this kind of people like Boris to go out there and shake things up. You see, and it's work. If Americans will elect someone like Donald Trump, because they want America to shake. They don't want too much of Barack Obama. They don't want too much of Barack Obama and Clinton.
Quickly, have you got another story for us?
I think I've touched on the key issue, except if I will be allowed to go on Greenfield Tower.
Yeah, finally, quickly.
Finally on Greenfield Tower. It's a sad news. Why we are very, very critical about this issue is that when this incident happened, the Greenfield Tower, we are all concerned because most of those living on that block are people who are vulnerable, people who are, how do I put it, who are, we won't call them immigrants, people of all classes, of all societies are part of it.
Since the Grenfell Tower issue, people are still
on
B&B.
Yes, majority of Grenfell Fire families are still in B&Bs. So the question is, when are these people going to be housed? Because you see, when you live in B&B, one, you don't have an address. You can't even go, what job? Assuming you don't have a job, and most of them will want a job too. Your mind is not settled. It reminds you of the past. You see, you need to give people home. When they are in their place, then they know that now we are taking our life back. They are human beings.
Without being insensitive to the victims of Grenfell,
yeah.
Where would they be put now?
Well,
when in South Kensington, there were, as soon as the whole issue happened, people were saying there's abandoned buildings in South Kensington where they could have been easily housed.
Most of them.
And the types of laws that will require those things. Corbyn made a mention of something like that such laws be brought to Parliament so that they can convert those things.
In fact,
yes, we sympathize with them. We sympathize. This is very sad because when you are in B&Q with 4 or 5 children, B&B with 4 or 5 children, how
some of them are living with age
and they're traumatized.
It reminds them because that was where they ran to. Now they need a home. Now the challenge here is that we understand there are challenges around this issue. Like some of it is they want to move them out or far away. But most of these people have also got children who are going to school in their community.
Those are the challenges. I understand that they have the challenges they have now where they live. But you see, the solution is not very straightforward.
It may not be, but
the straightforward solution is to move them far away from London where accommodation is available. Again, schools.
But then that falls into the whole conspiracy theory because a lot of the people living in that area were under the assumption that they're trying to get them out of the place and then sell the land to investors. So if they're getting them out.
I understand those narratives, but what I also understand is that when it comes to the business of government, it's slow.
No. We must also
understand that government does not work in that magic manner.
In this case, government needs to be proactive.
First, they were given absolute priority. Please, let us be careful about this issue. It's very sensitive, like we said. We are on their side. We support them to be housed quickly. Now, sometimes the issue of where the houses are, if you're a family of maybe 6 or 7 or 4, some of them are big family because of the background of the people involved. So in that Kensington area, probably they are not getting them the exact type of accommodation they need. Places like Shadow can help. You understand? And in UK, in London, as far as I know, barracks are not walls.
Okay.
The barracks are actually not walls.
Yeah.
There are people who can be moved to Sadok, some can be moved to Lewisham, and then they'll be assisted with education so that children can move quickly.
All right. Okay. I think we'll bring it to an end there.
We need to investigate that these people are not ready to move that far.
Okay.
Well,
there were a lot of
some
people who were not happy to be moved away
they don't
from
want
where
to be
they
moved,
grew
but
up.
one way or the other,
Okay.
if you need a support assistance, sometimes we need to meet
All right,
ourselves in the middle.
We'll bring that discussion to an end here. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll turn our attentions to stories making headlines across Africa. We'll be right back.
E-News Redefined. Wondering what's going on in the life of your favorite entertainment personality? Wonder no more, because the Daily Setbit has got you covered with the latest in entertainment news, gossip, fact, rumors, and of course, some sizzling interviews.
Not just that, did you know actor Jimmy Foxx's real name is Eric Malone Bishop? I bet you didn't know. On the Did You Know segment, we bring you some mind-boggling facts you might not know about your favorite celebrity.
We don't only set the trend with our stories, we bring you trendy videos and images that have gone viral on social media. Your entertainment just got better.
Doing something illegal in there?
No. What? Your lesbian fixation?
Huh? You call that a lesbian fixation? It is happening live. I am just coming from their room. Drama. This cannot continue. We cannot continue hiding our true feelings.
Hey, why are you locking the door?
He who carries the load knows his weight. So what do we do now?
We bang on the door till she opens it.
What the hell is going on?
We just came out of that room and what we saw there didn't even come close to 2 women.
You know, sometimes the trap doesn't catch the prey you set it for.
Why Solombi? These girls are becoming troublesome.
Are we supposed to tell our clients to wait so we go buy shampoo? We deliver to our clients irrespective of our challenges. I shall be back. You won't get rid of me so easily.
Beloved, God created man with the dust of the earth. God breathed the breath of life into mankind. So man became a living soul. It is therefore empirical to know and to understand that the earthly cannot survive without the heavenly. Faith today is designed to bring men and women of God from across the world to discuss developmental issues and current affairs backed by the scriptures and the gospels. This will enable us to have a better Ghana and a better world to live in. My name is Apostle Owahin Omaria Champon. I'm going to be your regular host. Remember, the light of God will shine. Don't miss it.
Hello and welcome back to Talk Africa, the program that brings you closer to home by discussing all issues pertaining to Africa. Just want to introduce myself again because we're having a few technical issues here and there. So the people on radio now can hear us finally. Again, my name is Jones Ewa and welcome to Talk Africa, the program that brings you closer to home by discussing all issues pertaining to Africa. Now, in the first part of our segment, we did the paper review here in the UK. So we're going to turn our attentions to the second part of the show, which is we're going to do the news review. These are stories making the headlines across the continent. My guest in the studio today, we have Idris Adishina. Idris is editor of Alternative Africa. And also Kofi Ali is political analyst and ECOWAS citizens' rights advocate.
It's a citizen of ECOWAS.
Yeah, citizens of ECOWAS. We'll get onto that, Idris.
It's not a
Don't worry
Ghanaian.
about that. Kofi is not smiling with you.
No,
he's not smiling with you.
It's a citizen of ECOWAS.
If you want to get in touch, if you want to get involved with the discussion today, the number to call is 0203-735-8820 or 0203-286-0185. If you want to send a text message, it's 0793-286-1328. You can also go onto our Facebook page. As I said, we've been streaming live on Facebook. So go onto our Facebook page, GNTV UK, and you can leave comments on there as well. Let me start with you because that one side with you, Idris. Kofi,
yes.
What stories?
What we have here is a great news for some of us, as we like things like this. They say we're talking about Monrovia. West African leaders held mediation talks Wednesday with all sides involved in Liberia disputed election. Following the Supreme Court announcement, it would summon the country's electoral commission to explain the alleged fraud and irregularities. We all know that we were supposed to have a runoff between the two Liberian contestants. Today, we have George Opanwea and the former vice president, President Boaki. Unfortunately, it looked like the election is not coming up.
Yeah, the runoff should have been today.
It will have been today. It has been deferred again because of irregularities. And so we had a president, two heads of states from West Africa who have to go in because we want to let West Africans, ECOWAS citizens, know that we are in charge at the highest level. Now, two people, Fore Nyasingbe Eyadema, Fore Nyasingbe.
Can you see the choice of those who are going to make
it? In his own backyard. Yes, we're live on air.
Yeah, we'll come to that.
Yes.
Fore Nyasingbe is one of those who are going, and you have Alpha Conde Guinea. Remember, Fore Nyasingbe is the chairman of the ECOWAS Assembly, ECOWAS Assembly.
Yeah.
In other words, he has been elected for 1 year as the ceremonial head of the ECOWAS. And Alpha Conde, they have to just go together. One thing people don't realize is that, you see, when you do things at a certain level, right, if today Fore is going to Liberia, tomorrow, when others are coming to his place, there's legitimacy because what? We are all part of it. He is going to tell the people in Liberia how to have democracy, how to follow the rule of law.
You love yourself.
But what a lot of us are not realizing when we come back to Liberia, which is a topic we need to discuss properly. I said Liberia to Togo.
Togo, yeah.
The crisis in Togo.
We will come back to that.
Because
so let's just stay on this. We'll come back to that because when we go into our main topic, I'm sure we'll go to Togo.
When people are laughing, you understand. Actually, what we don't realize that the credibility we are giving the people, the contingent. Remember, Fore is not going there on his own. You understand? What's the name of this man? Alpha Conde is not going there. They go as a group.
Are they the right people to go? People who are
and remember, there are professionals.
Those who are also despots in their own home.
You know the responsibility for addressing the issue. Remember, Mahama was supposed to be there. He is the ECOWAS representative to Liberia. He is the election observer. So what people don't realize is that when they are going, the ECOWAS Commission have got professionals, people elected, employed directly for those kind of, based on their experience, to deal with that issue. So let us understand, when the Liberian case gets out of hand, ECOWAS will be the first point of call.
No
so
doubt.
We need to understand.
No doubt. But
nobody has discredited their mission.
Yeah.
That mission is legitimate. That mission is what we all want. We want to pacify. We want to make sure that things go where Liberia should not go back to where it was.
Yeah.
But the credibility of the man who wants to go and tell them that they have their democracy.
They have to put their house in check.
A man who has no democracy.
What I think Mr. Adesina is not picking here is that 1 year, almost 1 year now, Nanado to try to stand with Fore Yadima.
Yeah.
And Fore got the seat. Now, Fore is not just there. He's there you remember Salif Johnson was the one who led them to Gambia.
Yes.
Simply because he was the chairman of the chairman of the ECOWAS Assembly at that time, which is 1 year term.
Yeah.
So Faure automatically is there in his capacity as a chairman. So first of all, we need to relieve him of the position.
There is no law that says the chairman of ECOWAS should go and mediate. The chairman of ECOWAS can as well set up a body of credible people.
No. It's not the job of the ECOWAS chairman to set up people. I'm coming. When they went to Liberia, you should have said that, Salif Johnson should have gone. Yeah, but
Salif Johnson was a credible leader.
Who decide who is a credible leader?
The politics at home.
Let's move on to the next topic. We are not talking about the policies. We will come back to this issue. We are talking about Liberia.
Let's move on to your next topic.
Please.
We'll come back to Liberia.
Well, I think my next topic has to do with the Fulani herdsmen in Ghana, which has been, when we are talking about Africa, we are talking about countries on the continent.
They've been tarnished with the same brush. People say Fulani people.
Exactly. That is the impression. People. And we had a great man that came, Professor Usman Barry, who is a former retired, he's a retired diplomat and the president of the Fulani Association of Ghana, Professor Sheikh Usman Barry. And what he's trying to do, because we've having, these Fulani men being called criminals, every Fulani man is just an animal. And the way the Fulanis are minority in Ghana. You understand? Some of them are born there, like one of the sentences in the article was saying. Some of them are born Ghanaian. Some of them are born by Ghanaian parents. Technically, they are citizens. Ghanaians, citizens. And those who have migrated under the ECOWAS protocol of free movement of people. Now, we then even Article 2, citing Article 2 ECOWAS protocol, what we realize is that even in Nigeria, we have cattle herders who are having problems with the local.
Fulani too. Let's put it
in Nigeria, in fact, Fulani are part of the population. Yes. And what a lot of people don't realize is that Fulanis are not only cattle herders in Ghana. They are also like this professor now. So many professions, most of them in politics. I want to give a good example of someone like this man who took the Bahumia's wife.
Kofi, we are not talking about them in other politics. We are talking about them
as cattle herders. Now, the problem has to do with
none of them are not cattle herders.
Now, we have a lot of challenging bases. The case is that the cattle naturally will eat food.
Yes.
Naturally. Yeah. The farmer will struggle to get them. Yes. Our problem is if in Europe, because we've been trying to address this issue long time, it's not working. The farmers who are planting have issues. They have invested and the food is vanishing. Good. Most of them might have got the land based on, we are by this tribe, and because of that we have right to land. So they are just as good as the Fulanis, who are also wild, looking for what? For food. So both are looking for food. What we are looking at is that how to regulate agric, which has to do with land tenure in Ghana. Until we address that issue.
Mr. Kofi, what you are telling me, if I understand you very well, is that a man who has gone to steal because he's hungry also has a right.
Yes. Until proven guilty. You see, I think
a man who has gone to steal, a man who says I'm stealing your property because I'm hungry.
If I have a cow, if I have cows, head of cows, and I'm herding them, and unfortunately there is water by the roadside, and they drink the water. And naturally, animals, when they feel thirsty, will rush towards water.
It's not once, it's not twice, it's not 3 times. This keeps happening all the time.
Yes, it's happening because of our cattle rearing system.
You want us to listen now to a man who is representing the cattle?
Be patient. Our cattle rearing system, even in Accra, when they move in a place, is a problem. Our cattle rearing tradition is faulty. In this country, they have cattle, they are farmers. They don't stray into other people's farm. So what we are saying is that you need people. If in Ghana we have rich people who can, or people who are educated and well-to-do, who can be patient with me, who can go into banks and get loan, they can be cattle farmers. When they start farming cattle in large quantity, I
remember when this issue, Idris, hold on. I remember when this issue of Fulanis came up last year in Ghana, where a lot of people, to the point where it got to the president's office, and the president said there are some chiefs who are behind this. No. Yes, he did.
Be patient.
He did because people
the use of chiefs and politicians is, you say, give a dog a bad name. to hang the dog. Let's be patient. We are aware. Those who are saying it, those who are saying they are chiefs, of course, if I have money and I want to invest and I feel cattle investment, I buy cattle. That's what the teachers are doing it. But that's not the issue.
We victimize the Fulani.
We are victimizing the Fulani.
So we need to get to the root of this issue.
The root of it is, again, to make the issue look very sensitive. You understand? And we've seen it in the past where people are killed politically and then you point at your opponent because nobody was there.
I don't want
most of this killing are not investigated.
I don't want us to adulterate this talk.
People are taking law into their hands.
Forget about whether somebody is a Fulani that is a banker or politicians are investing in cattle. No, that's not the problem. The problem is that there is crisis. People are destroying, the cows are destroying people's property. A man who has planted his grain, the cattle has consumed it. And in the process, there is problem between them. There is friction, which is leading to loss of lives. There's a reprisal attack. Now, people are dying. It's becoming a criminal case now. Yes, the issue here is that, is there a law on grazing in Ghana or in Nigeria? Where do these people have legal rights to graze their cows? If there is no law, the government is guilty.
Good.
And nobody can blame any. You have started in this country now that there are cows here that are so things they cannot stray.
And that's exactly
so
what
if there is no law, if there is no law, so for the government, for the president to come out and say no, it's a failure of government across the country.
I think I like the dimension you are taking.
All right, we're gonna go for a quick break. When we come back, Idris will give you the time for you to review some of the stories that you've picked. You're listening and watching To Talk Africa here on GNTV.
It doesn't make me your friend.
No, you made a good point. I like your point.
We're taking a quick break. We'll be right back.
Beloved, God created man with the dust of the earth. God breathed the breath of life into mankind. So man became a living soul. It is therefore empirical to know and to understand that the earthly cannot survive without the heavenly. Faith today is designed to bring men and women of God from across the world to discuss developmental issues and current affairs backed by the scriptures and the gospels. This will enable us to have a better Ghana and a better world to live in. My name is Apostle Owahin Omaria Champon. I'm going to be your regular host. Remember, the light of God will shine. Don't miss it.
I love social media. I mean, I am social media. So I've decided I'm going to hijack your screens for the next 60 minutes as we surf through your Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and all of it. The key is to listen, engage, and build relationships. Social media is not just any media. It means fun and connecting to your favorite personalities online from any part of the globe. And when I say fun, I mean real fun. FNN Social.
Majority of you only pay attention to us after years of unremittent persistence and rejections, whilst we challenge the way it has always been done. We have made courageous decisions many of you wouldn't dare dream, forgetting you can live it when you dream it. Wake up with an idea. Research the egg out of the idea. Write a massive business plan. Raise money and create business. Wave goodbye to friends and families as your life is now your business. Stick with it, even on the bad days. Following your massive expansion into a worldwide domination, retire to your favorite highland or go back to step one and wash, rinse and repeat.
The CEO's Chair, showing on GNTV UK.
Welcome back to Talk Africa with me, Jones Ewa. We're having some very interesting discussion here in the studio this morning. If you've just joined us, we're just doing our news review. This is where my guests in the studio pick stories trending across the continent to review them this morning. We've had Kofi Ali before we went on the break. So, Idris, to you, what story caught your eye?
It's unfortunate that we have to return to the same old talk about African crisis. And the only place we can begin now is in Zimbabwe, where the vice president has been sacked. The sack is not new, because we know it's been coming. What is new is the dimension we are beginning to see now. Maybe we don't want to call it dimension, but it's beginning to emerge as a pattern.
That
the wife is being touted now to be the new leader of that party, and because we know what Mugabe is, he doesn't listen to anybody, it may eventually come to pass. Now, he has spoken of a need for a woman vice president, and we have seen the wife on Sunday who has announced to the world that is ready to take over the job if she's offered. We have seen that. And that's my worry there. In South Africa, we have the same thing, where the ex-wife of Zuma is struggling and they said the more you look, the less you see. And that the man propping her up is Zuma herself to cover up some tracks. So my worry is that are we beginning to see the return of monarchy in Africa? Because in
monarchy, Africa or Zimbabwe?
No. I mean, we are talking of a family pattern now. A wife trying to succeed somebody in Zimbabwe, in South Africa. A wife, an ex-wife, which I believe wants to have children in Africa, is still always a wife. Is trying to succeed Zuma too.
Which was the wife are you talking about?
The ex-wife of Zuma in South Africa, who is trying now to succeed to be the leader, the president in South Africa, to be the leader of the party, eventually become the president of the country. So those two things they're very worrying, because the problem in Africa is that once it happens like that in one or two or three places, you begin to see that trend happening now. That is a big problem for me, which I don't want. Let's move my second story now.
Let me. You see, it's not all gloom and doom. Let's be very careful. You are mixing two things up. South African case is different from the Zimbabwe case. In the case of South African case, you are talking about the former wife of President Jacob Zuma, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, who was just immediate past president of African Union, that is a chairperson of African Union Commission. Now back in South Africa, by all right, by all ability, she is qualified to stand and contest. It has nothing to do with President Zuma, right? The fact that he was once his wife is not the woman in her own right. Remember, going to that African Union to be the chairperson of the commission, 4 years, she has done the job wonderfully by her. I don't think we should get the next issue is on Zimbabwe.
What is that? Is the underground? Is the
Zimbabwe? On Zimbabwe,
is the link there?
On Zimbabwe, I don't know. You and I don't know the laws of Zimbabwe.
You and I were in there.
No. Why I'm saying this?
The law of every country will say you fire the first president and you have to take over.
We remember recently in Sierra Leone, there was a problem.
Okay, because the wife of Rollins too wanted the president in Ghana.
They just let you finish. Go on. Go on. Go on.
Let's have this.
No, it's a serious problem.
No.
Finish.
The way you are going.
You're eating into Idris' time, so you need to wrap up.
The president in Sierra Leone wanted to remove the vice president, and it became an issue. It's impossible. But when you go to Zimbabwe, probably their law, as designed, you understand, allow the president to hire and fire the vice president. That's a different issue. So if the wife of the president is also eyeing the position, President Clinton, wasn't his wife also eyeing the position? Do not let us sit down and just rubbish issues.
And what was the process?
What I want us to do...
You brought Clinton in now. What was the process of the emergence?
She stood for election.
What was the process of the emergence of Clinton in U.S.? A transparent process.
And we are talking about
that
two
different... Nobody is questioning a woman becoming the president of Africa or the wife becoming the president of Africa,
Then,
what we are saying that the process has to be what? To be transparent.
Well, how transparent is it? It's based on the laws of the country. You probably not have read their law.
You are telling me now that Mugabe has a right to fire the first president and bestow that same honor.
Did I say that? I said we don't know their law. If we don't know their law, how can we judge them?
It is wrong and it is wrong.
Okay,
so let's leave it at that.
What is wrong? The law. We don't know the law.
Since it's not all gloom as you have said, maybe we should move to
let's move on.
Then we have a bank in South Africa.
Yes.
That's the very positive for me this morning, that we have a South African bank at more now that's agreed to take over that has taken over a bank in United Kingdom. That's a beautiful story for me. Whoever runs that story, where the money comes from, is not my problem now. My problem is that we have an African bank that's make a foray into a foreign land, into Europe, and has acquired. Unfortunately, this story is not being widely reported, as the Mugabe issue is being reported across the world. That's another angle entirely. If an African bank is being talked somewhere in the BBC there, I know Untitled Chapter has also taken it. That's the kind of story we like to do. If we have a bank like this that has become global, because it will come from South Africa to come and take over a bank in the United Kingdom, gives you that benefit to say, okay, you are global, you are expanding. And they say, look, we have this bank has a lot of structures. We are not dismantling that structures. We want to continue to push the name of Africa across. If this story is there, and I know is there, I appeal to the world media to also give it the wider coverage, the way they've given Mugabe.
I think my take on this news is it really is interesting. Let's first, I don't know how many American banks, UK banks are owned by Americans.
Wow.
I know so many banks here, but I don't know one that will say, oh, this bank. Although I know French have got banks here.
Yes,
you understand? Santander, I think, from Spain or something. So what I know, I'm not really crazy about whether somebody is buying bank in UK or UK is buying bank somewhere. But what I realize is that this is an offer. Yeah, this not even Aldermore. That's the name of the bank. It's actually not. It's not a bank, it's not a household bank in the UK. As far as we know, we know the Barclays. I want to hear South African bank buying the Barclays, or they are buying what do you call it, NatWest. Most of the banks are dying anyway. But what we are hearing here is that Aldermore, we don't know the bank they are buying. Maybe one room they are buying Park Lane. But what we know is that it's an offer. It has to go through so many processes.
How many millions now?
We are talking about 1.2. The bank is value of 1.2 billion. But it's an offer. It's an offer, and the offer we don't know. The shareholders have not.
The offer is almost accepted.
As far as I'm concerned,
it's 1.2 billion.
Well, 1.2 billion. Who is buying it? We don't know who is buying it. In this world where we are hearing of money, what is offshore banking? What do they call it? Offshore banking. Maybe it's the same people have gone round to come back again.
The story here is that there's a South African bank that's buying a bank.
It can be South African bank, but in the day of offshore banking, where you have dodgy people from outside, they go round and come round and then turn the money in another way. I don't know who is buying what. What we are looking is that when this bank is bought, how many people are going to have jobs? I remember I was speaking on a story from Casamas. I don't know why it's not printed as part of the story. Australian firm in Senegal, Casamas. They are going into mining of what they call it Zadek. And Zadek is, as far as we know, is one of the product for mobile phones. Yeah. And so they are on the ground. But the people in the, well, we all know Casamas has some rebel movement.
The story here is that a South African bank is buying a bank in the United Kingdom.
Okay, we need to move on.
That is the big story there.
For time's sake, we need to move on.
I was talking about another, I was expected to come with a story.
All right.
I'm only responding to whether it's not all good for Africa.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
That's the main topic of the day. Okay, now the main topic of the day is the Economic Community of West Africa, also known as ECOWAS. The state goal of ECOWAS, okay, is to achieve collective self-sufficiency for its member states by creating a single large trading bloc by building a full economic and trading union. So the question we're asking today is very simple. Are the objectives of ECOWAS being met by the member state? You can call in, you can send your messages. If you want to call into the studio, the number you need is 0203-735-8820 or 0203-286-0185. You can also text us on 0793-286-1328. You can go on our Facebook page right now. We're streaming live on GNTV UK on our Facebook. You can also leave a comment there. So it just let me ask you
maybe Kofi will want to start because it's the Mr. ECOWAS here.
Okay,
but
Kofi,
yes, it's Mr. ECOWAS here.
Idris has decided to throw the question back to you. Kofi, you're not ready.
I'm more than ready.
Maybe he's getting his figures.
Your ECOWAS. I'm more than ready.
Mr. ECOWAS.
I'm more than ready.
Are you meeting your goals?
When you come to ECOWAS, I think we are having a serious misunderstanding of the concept.
No, yes or no? Are you meeting your goals?
Be patient with me. Are you asking whether the member states of ECOWAS, you understand, are meeting their goals?
Not member states now. Member states and individual countries.
ECOWAS
is
as a
body now.
Is
Mr.
ECOWAS meeting its
Yes.
goals? And my answer is no.
Good.
Absolutely no.
Good.
But what are the reasons why the ECOWAS is not meeting its goals?
Hold on to that thought. What are the reasons? Yesterday we went out into the community. We spoke to a few people about ECOWAS, if they're meeting the goals or if they know what ECOWAS actually stands for. Let's hear what people had to say.
ECOWAS, I think it's something to do within a West African country. I think it's something to do with economic community of West African country. If I'm right, trying to bring West African countries together. As you have European Union here, I think it's something to do within West African country, and it's to try and bring West African countries together. In terms of the economy, in terms of the immigration, I think I'm not really too sure what I think something to do with that, do it.
And most of the objective is to have a common economic convergence. At the same time, have something currency, same currency like like a European Union.
ECOWAS stands for Economic Community of West African States, which was set up, I think, around in the 70s when it was set up, to get the West African states like Ghana, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Mali, Liberia, and Mauritania, but they pull out later, and the Gambia, and Nigeria, and also it evolved into even having to set up a common currency, and also through that they decided to have a military force that could help protect one another. You look at it closely, at least it is benefiting all the West African states who are members. At least free movement of goods, one, and then free movement of persons, and then also I think employment.
Well, it's been there, but I've not seen what they've done. Even the passport, you have it. I didn't use mine, and it expires quickly, so I didn't go back for it again.
Some bites of people that we spoke to yesterday with regards to ECOWAS. It's funny enough, when you speak to the older generation, they seems to have some sort of idea of what ECOWAS is and what ECOWAS mission is. But when we tried to speak to the younger generation, they didn't have a clue. So if you want to get involved with the conversation today, all you need to do, as I've been saying, give us a call or you can send us a text. Call us on 0203-735-8820 or 0203-286-0185. You can also send a text message. The number to do so is 0793-286-1328. I've been saying this, you can go on our Facebook page, GNTV UK. You can also leave a comment there. Kofi?
Yes.
You heard what a lot of people said. Whilst we were watching the VT, you were making a few comments. You know, there's pluses and minuses.
Absolutely. Like we heard them, it's clearly there is some level of awareness among the ordinary people. How good is the quality?
Among the old generation.
Among the ordinary people. They all know. Some of them were telling you they went for ECOWAS passport, but it is
because it's written on their passport. That's
yes.
For instance, somebody like me, that's how I got to trouble.
Let Kofi finish. You have the opportunity to talk.
Now, so what is happening is within the ECOWAS, we should remember this is what the people had independent, each country. The purpose of ECOWAS is to form a common market. In that common market, you are talking about a common economy. A common economy means a common, authority. That's how economies work. You need a common, because without an effective, so the quality of the authority of ECOWAS, which is the commission of ECOWAS, is so weak, not good enough for what? For the people to start feeling the effect. And so we are not just Ghanaians or we are not just Nigerians, we are now ECOWAS citizens as well. Unlike the EU, that you can see the people are fully part of what is happening. So the challenge is, how do we address that issue? But the working of ECOWAS, we have freedom movement of people and goods. People are moving. The reason is the challenge is the roads. Are the road conducive at the port of entry, or where I'm talking about land borders? What problems do they go to pass through? Of course, they all don't need visa. We have 15 countries. They don't need visa. They go. We still have a challenge of 90 days. Most of us want to move that 90 days because most of them go, they don't come back anyway. To
stay beyond the 90 days.
They stay unofficially.
Yeah.
But officially, they are supposed to be in others' country for 90 days. But everybody has turned a blind eye. We want to address all this because the aim is we want these people to know themselves more. If people know themselves, the fear of, oh, these people are that or these people are that, it's difficult. Can be alienated. Again, we do have members of ECOWAS citizenship that are in other member states' country, like the case of the Fulanis.
Yeah.
Anywhere you go to, Nigerians in Senegal, Mali, I've seen them, Gambia, they change them, maltreat them, beat them for one reason or the other. There are no effective ECOWAS on the ground that is working with the authority of each of the states and telling them that is no, that is right, that is no. So we have a lot to do, but we blame the people themselves, especially the educated ones, for not playing the active role. ECOWAS is a body. It's a body of people, like government. If the people are not active, especially the activists are not...
Non-elective, though.
We now, the what? The elective. No, you are talking about the election. When you come to the election, election is very important. I remember in during Kufuor's regime, 1997, when they had a summit in Accra, right? African Union, in this case. Gaddafi came, United States of Africa, he was shouting everything. When he got there, everybody said, no, you are joking. We can't do this now. And Gaddafi, they asked why. They said, let us form a committee to investigate issue. Why are we not there yet? You know what happened? They form a committee. The committee is led by a man called Professor Adebayo Adedeji. 6-man committee. You know their recommendation? They say there is lack of popular participation. Lack of popular participation means people are not democratically participating in the governance of their affairs and that of the African Union. If you translate that into ECOWAS, you see that West Africans are not actively politically involved in ECOWAS activities.
So
Kofi, so what is it? Why should people be blamed in that?
Hold on.
In that case,
is ECOWAS meeting its objectives?
ECOWAS halfway. Remember, the power ECOWAS has got now is advisory power. I'll explain that. What advisory power means? Well, we had a case with Nigerians in Ghana. And there was a case of they shouldn't do certain part of the job and so forth, and it was getting out of hand. These youths got up, they went to ECOWAS Parliament, they went to ECOWAS Court. ECOWAS Court advised ECOWAS. Then when they went to meet Hannah Tete, you understand, the Minister of Trade in Ghana, about the issue, ECOWAS came. Then Hannah Tete told them that you can only advise me. according to the laws, we have the rules.
Okay.
So I can take it or not take it. We are not taking it. What we are saying is that we need an ECOWAS with a legislative power, not ECOWAS with what? Advisory power. We need to look at that.
Okay, we will come back and definitely look at that, Idris. I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, don't worry. There's a lot of time. There's a lot of time for you to talk. We're going on a quick break. We'll be back. We'll continue our discussion. We'll be right back.
Idris is having fun.
I love social media. I mean, I am social media. So I've decided I'm going to hijack your screens for the next 60 minutes as we surf through your Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and all of it. The key is to listen, engage, and build relationships. Social media is not just any media. It means fun and connecting to your favorite personalities online from any part of the globe. And when I say fun, I mean real fun. FNN Social.
Next time, not joke with no nuts family. I hear me. I feel that.
Foreigners are in deciding for us, what to do when it comes to our music. This is just so not cool.
Charlie, just forget them. If you're not ready to pay our artist like a $30,000 or $90,000, then where are we going?
Talent get case. You go see one kid you can't stay top. He do small acrobatics here and there, or people they clap. Why this kid get talent? How?
Instead of beefing each other, Ghanaian artists can actually join hands together and promote themselves internationally.
Hello and welcome back to Talk Africa with me, Jones Ewa. Today in the studio we have Kofi Ali. Kofi Ali is
you call him Mr. ECOWAS.
Mr. ECOWAS Citizens Rights Advocate, and we have Idris. Idris is editor of Alternative Africa. If you just tune in, we're talking about ECOWAS, okay? The Economic Community of West African States. Today we want to know if ECOWAS are meeting their objectives. We will delve into more of the conversation. And if you want to join in, the number to do so is 0203-735-8820, or you can call 0203-286-0185. If you want to text, it's 0793-286-1328. So Idris, let me ask you this. Because once this topic came up, yesterday when I spoke to a few people, when you mentioned ECOWAS, the ones who had knowledge about ECOWAS, the first thing they say is, it's the EU model, isn't it? I said, yes. But then we're asking, if right now in 2017, it's the same model that the EU has, and we can see what's happening with the EU, is the ECOWAS still relevant?
Yeah, the EU should be looked at in the frame of AU. AU is not the same thing as ECOWAS. So EU is not...
You mean the African Union?
Yeah, EU is not ECOWAS. ECOWAS is a body in the AU for regional integration of economic in West African countries. But it had worked before in the past. But it's not going to work again. No matter what they do, it's not going to work again. The simple reasons for this is that if you look at people, if you look at the demographics of those you spoke to yesterday, you will see that the older generations are much aware about AU because they've been
You mean ECOWAS?
ECOWAS, rather.
Yeah.
They've been beneficiaries of that before. So that the old that I was in Ghana, I was in Burkina Faso. You even listen to one man who was telling you of the countries that are pulled out.
Yeah.
Because they had that time we had intra-trade business. Senegal was a booming country in Africa then, in terms of art and craft, in terms of trade. Nigeria there. I can tell you Kofi studied in Nigeria from our interaction.
Yeah.
So he didn't need visa to enter Nigeria. You don't need visa to go to Ghana. Up to now, that still happens. But now, what is the volume of trade that could facilitate that integration within African countries, within ECOWAS? The last time I was here, we were giving a figure, roughly about, maybe we had the figure in Ghana's tourism that's about 200 million cities were. And of those money, only 9% went to the entire African continent. The biggest share was about 6% between ECOWAS, from the breakdown of that figure. Trade movement are things that could bring that integration closer, are things that could allow the youths of nowadays, who will now carry the messages across. But unfortunately, our migration now is no longer towards Africa. Even where we are not wanted, we still go there and die there. You know, the millions are dying in the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
They should be moving within the African continent. We talk about how much knowledge do the present crop of younger generations know about ECOWAS. Maybe probably the first contact they have with ECOWAS is their passport. Because probably they didn't read Ghana, they didn't read Nigeria, they say ECOWAS. Maybe that's the only name they know. And because they were taught in school. If you see, look at the younger generation you spoke to, they only give the definition of ECOWAS.
Yeah, it's true. Yesterday,
it was only the definition they gave.
We saw one guy who refused to talk to us on camera. I asked him, because I overheard him talking about the EU. So then I turned around and I approached him and I asked him about the ECOWAS. Quickly, he took out his ECOWAS passport. He said, yes, I have my ECOWAS passport. But that's where it starts and ends.
Because Kofi just made an allusion to one thing, that when there was a problem in Ghana, the Ghana leadership told ECOWAS that you are only advisory. And that kills the spirit of integration. Here in UK, here in European Union, we have a European Union court that has rights to tell every country that all these things that we have done is wrong, and you have to do that. What is the knowledge? You see, why I say it's not going to work again is this. We are seeing a gradual partition, and I want to believe it won't happen, of European Union from Brexit.
Yeah.
One of the reasons they cited is the sovereignty of each country. If African leaders take a cue from it, no regional body will work, because they believe that our sovereignty. And the only reason it won't work is because there is no governance anywhere across that continent. There is no governance. Those who pretend to govern, maybe one or two good stories out in the media, it is governance. It is good governance. He spoke about roads. Why should I be flying between Ghana and Nigeria? Why should I be flying between Benin and Nigeria, which is just a next door neighbor? But if you want to die, you can go ahead on that road. So those are issues. And as a matter of fact, how much knowledge do citizens of each country member state of ECOWAS have about regional body? None.
Okay.
Apart from the old ones. So if you're talking of regional, if you're talking of ECOWAS, it had worked. Okay. And it's not going to work again.
It's not going to work again.
You see, I like negativities when people are skeptic. And sometimes the fact that you don't like something, you understand, you should understand that we have credibilities as well. What I'm trying to say here is that, can you imagine, he worked in the past, it's not going to work again.
Yeah.
What kind of language is that? Everybody will look at you, what is wrong? The whole thing is, when you start making that allusion, that, oh, if we want to compare, we should compare African Union with European Union. Is it because of identical names? Is that what is confusing you? When we want to sit down here, we are talking about common market of West Africa. Mm-hmm. The man, or my colleague here, I don't know whether he has been sat down to look at the quantity, the volume of trade, Nigeria, external trade outside Nigeria, on the African continent. 80% of Nigerian trade within Africa goes to West African
countries. But what is the volume now?
Now, what I'm trying to say that, what are going Coca-Cola and all those milk and this bathing soap and so on and so forth, but they go. What that is telling, if you go to Gambia, 99% of what they are importing are from Nigeria. Senegal, the same. Because most of the industries are not, a lot of them are in Senegal, but they are not in Nigeria. So they come from Nigeria. What we are letting our brother realize is that whether we like it or not, election days, there are so many issues on the table, science and technology, that we want to catch up with. So our aim is to focus. This is where we said, you see, when you have a big brother, let me quickly add. When you have a big brother,
how many African leaders go to take health facilities in African countries?
Yeah, oh, your president did that. You see, quickly, let me.
Let me just take my first call because he's been waiting for a little bit. Good morning, Sydney.
Good morning, Jones.
Negative.
How are you?
I'm good.
All right, Sydney, let's hear what you got to say this morning, Sydney.
Kofi Ali, good morning.
Oh, morning, my brother Sydney. How are you?
After a question, this ECOWAS, yeah?
Yes, sir.
I believe that they're supposed to have this free movement of goods and services included in their thing, isn't it?
Yes, they do.
But why is it that when people go to Togo to buy stuff and they're coming back to Ghana, they have to charge them these taxes, the duties? Why is it that they have to pay duties when goods are moving from the ECOWAS? I don't understand.
Yes. Do you want me to give an answer to that?
Yes, go ahead, Kofi.
Yes, Sydney, the reason is when they say free movement of goods and services, the understanding is goods produced within ECOWAS. So when you are moving goods from Nigeria and you cannot be able to produce evidence that it's produced in Nigeria, it's coming from China, that goods should have come directly into Ghana. So what they are taking from you is the custom. If you are talking about the legal money they take, there are a lot of illegal and nobody's monitoring. But when you are bringing goods produced in Nigeria and you have evidence of proof that this is from Nigeria, but not from China to Nigeria, then you have to pay duty at the point of entry.
All right.
No, let's
so that by so doing, we are encouraging those who want to bring it from China.
Yeah, in EU, let me use the EU as an example. Once the goods is in the EU and it's moving, you have no right to ask for any tax from the person that is moving the thing from the EU. If you have any, responsibility, you're supposed to tax the person that was bringing it. You don't, impose duty on somebody that you have to prove that the goods was brought into the system legally. No. That becomes a frontier because already the goods is in the system. You are supposed to make sure how the goods enters into the system from a non-EU country are taxed. Once it's in the system, me that's moving the goods within the system, you cannot ask me, you cannot impose that duty on me, and that is illegal.
Okay, Sydney, thank you. Let me give Kofi 1 minute to answer.
You see, our challenge in ECOWAS is seeing the youth how they are suffering and struggling. We want to encourage regional production. Now, if you import something into, for example, Nigeria, and you are moving that item into Ghana, you understand? Now, you import it. If the item is produced within Nigeria, within Senegal, that's why we say people should move to go and look for jobs. It means the producer who is bringing it from, who is producing outside, we want to encourage him to come inside and produce so that our children will have jobs. And that's why we have what we call ECOWAS tax on import from outside. Yeah. The reason is we want to find a way of, like EU he's talking about. In the EU, in Britain, that is why you have Toyota and so on, setting up industries so that they can trade with other EU countries. Now, when you are carrying the goods across, they have to check to know where the item is coming in, as I've said. And if you feel the item is coming from outside, you must pay that duty.
Okay, now let's move on. Idris, when we were doing the story review, you did mention about the chairperson of ECOWAS, Nasibe, being included to go to, is it Liberia?
Liberia, yes, it's one of the...
To sort out what's going on within
my objection is not about that office. My objection is the credibility of the person who is leading that delegation. If I know you don't have democracy in your country and you're leading a delegation to me to come and give me, lecture me on democracy, you are wasting your time. Because it's very easy for me to tell you, Mr. Man, how are you doing it in your own country? I believe that if ECOWAS wanted to do that, and Yadima is the leader of ECOWAS, we know how long it's been in this country. My understanding is that for credibility's sake, for the man to listen to that delegation, a body of presidents in ECOWAS could be put together by ECOWAS. It doesn't necessarily mean the chairman of ECOWAS must be there if you don't have the credibility. If you look at countries in Africa, Salif is living. He's a very credible leader. The Nigerian president is credible, reasonably. Ghana president are credible. So that when you begin to pick holes in the affairs of that particular country, you won't find nothing. Because these are democratic countries who are transited. Not a man who's been there for years telling me to come and do this. No, I don't like that. Let's ECOWAS put a body of credible leaders among ECOWAS to go and do that.
Yes. You see, when we talk like this, it's like in the United Kingdom here, the head of state is the Queen. It's not the Prime Minister, right? Though she's elected, the Queen is not elected. And a minister from the UK go to somewhere, or a Prime Minister go, and you tell her, or the Queen go to somewhere, and you say, you can't talk because you are not elected. It doesn't work that way. We came from far away to be where we are. Some people should stop thinking we just jump from the tree and we are gods. What happened is, you see, we are going into a transition. We used to have the whole of West Africa. 99% of the leaders were military, including Liberia, right? But gradually, Sierra Leone, all of them, Ghana, we have succeeded in transiting from even Fore Yadima. His father was there for 30-something years. Yes. Good. Now, then we move to the sun, isn't it? Yeah. Within that period, we've had so many countries that have gone through the transition. Libya, Gambia, we've just solved the problem. So there's no how that man there will continue for another, because ECOWAS was active coincidentally. Some do it themselves, some have to be pushed. When you come to the case of Fore Yadima, and I want my brother to understand that very carefully. Quickly, yeah, it's a constitutional challenge. That is the problem of Togo. Why we say it's a constitutional, it's not democratic, it's constitutional challenge, it's not democratic challenge. The constitution, like if the president of Germany want to be there, the way the French this thing is designed, they can be there for 50 times. The president of Germany is there for more than five terms now. But the secret is that she is winning election, yes. Right? We have settled for 2 terms and you go. Yeah. So we've not succeeded in getting everyone to be there. Now, with this constitutional crisis in Togo, we need a referendum because it's in their constitution. We can't come from ECOWAS and come and say, we make you do this.
But what Idris is saying is, if that's the case, so why is Nyasingbe going to...
The Nyasingbe is going there. Please be patient. No. Hello. No. He is not... Be patient. We said it's not Nyasingbe who alone is the problem in Togo. There are so many. It's a constitution. Constitution is not one person. It's so many people. Now, Nyasingbe is not going to Liberia alone. Alpha Conde just won election. He's going there. So what we have is just setting. He's just going there. And my brother have to understand, we have a man called Dr. Marcel de Souza. Marcel de Souza is the chairman of is the president of the ECOWAS Commission. That's the leader. Okay. You understand? All right. So my saying Fore is that we didn't choose Fore. Okay. You understand?
What I'm telling you is that if ECOWAS wants to be credible, and you just mentioned.
Who said we don't want to be credible?
You just mentioned.
Who said we don't want to be credible?
You just mentioned the case of Gambia. Gambia is a small country. You can easily defend Gambia. Why can't you come?
Do you think what is happening in Do you think what is happening in Togo? If it happened in Nigeria, do you think we can go and remove him? We will wait for them to solve the problem. We can only help you. If it happened in Nigeria, you think we can come?
Why are you
ECOWAS will not come.
Why are you citing Gambia that you just intimidated?
My name is Joe.
Because we could walk into the place.
And Kofi Ali. We're going to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion. We'll be right back.
I mean, let us do things in the proper manner.
Majority of you only pay attention to us after years of unremittent persistence and rejections, whilst we challenge the way it has always been done. We have made courageous decisions many of you wouldn't dare dream, forgetting you can live it when you dream it. Wake up with an idea. Research the egg out of the idea. Write a massive business plan. Raise money and create business. Wave goodbye to friends and families as your life is now your business. Stick with it, even on the bad days. Following your massive expansion into a worldwide domination, retire to your favorite highland or go back to step 1 and wash, rinse and repeat.
The CEO's Chair, showing on GNTV UK.
Ini News Redefined. Wondering what's going on in the life of your favorite entertainment personality? Wonder no more, because the Daily Setbit has got you covered with the latest in entertainment news, gossip, facts, rumors, and of course, some sizzling interviews.
Not just that, did you know actor Jimmy Fox's real name is Eric Malone Bishop? I bet you didn't know. On the Did You Know segment, we bring you some mind-boggling facts you might not know about your favorite celebrity.
We don't only set the trend with our stories, we bring you trending videos and images that have gone viral on social media. Your entertainment just got better.
You might ask an artist to explain his art, or ask a poet to explain his poem, but it defeats the purpose. The meaning is only clear through the search. Painting is the silence of thought, the music of sight. Painting is just another way of keeping a diary. If we could say it in words, there'll be no reason to paint.
Are you doing something illegal in there?
No. What? Your lesbian fixation? Huh? You call that a lesbian fixation? It is happening live. I am just coming from their room.
Drama, this cannot continue. We cannot continue hiding our true feelings.
Hey, why are you locking the door? He who carries the load knows his weight. So what do we do now?
We bang on the door till she opens it.
What the hell is going on? We just came out of that room and what we saw there didn't even come close to 2 women.
You know, sometimes the trap doesn't catch the prey you set it for.
Why Solombi? These girls are becoming troublesome.
Are we supposed to tell our clients to wait so we go buy shampoo? We deliver to our clients irrespective of our challenges.
I shall be back. You won't get rid of me so easily.
Welcome back to Talk Africa with me, Jones. Still joining the studio with Idris and Kofi Ali. We're trying to move the subject on a little bit, okay? Just to remind our listeners and viewers. Soon we will talk to Fred Maney. Fred Maney is the business liaison manager for Group Indum. Okay, if you want to call in, the number to do so is 0203-735-8820 or 0203-286-0185. If you want to send a text message, it's 0793-286-1328. Now, we're going to move the conversation on. We're going to look at the single currency, okay, because ECOWAS really wants to push for this. It's called the Vision 2020. So by 2020, they really want to push for single currency across the West African region. But before we move on to that, okay, Idris, you wanted to, let me just give you 1 minute.
On issue we were saying before. Yeah. Kofi didn't get me or doesn't want to get me. Two issues. He doesn't understand me or he doesn't want to understand me. I don't have any problem with the Togo president going on mediation. Yeah. This is a man who took over from his own father, who has been leading that country since 2005. This is 2017.
And his dad, his father was there for, I think, over.
We are talking of a family running a country for almost 50 years.
Yes.
And that man, who has been the leader of a country since 2005, we're now in 2012, is telling somebody in another country, Kofi, look, I don't have anything against him. If that's their position, good luck to them. Yeah. Good. What I'm saying is that if you are going to mediate in a small country, if ECOWAS wants to have the credibility of a regional body that is credible, they must be led by credible president.
Now let's get something.
That is it.
Let's get something.
This man is not credible.
Be patient with me.
Quickly.
There is the role the chairman of ECOWAS Assembly have to play. First of all, let's get that straight. The problem we have with Faure, right, has to do with when the leaders of West Africa were electing him, there were circumstances and factors considered, taken into consideration, for which they appointed him as the chairman of the ECOWAS Assembly. Do you get me right? That is where the fault is. If they did not appoint him, he would not be there.
I don't even see that as a fault.
What we are saying is that
I don't see that as a fault.
They should have seen that he has been there for 40 years.
No.
You understand? And they're not giving, because
I don't see that as a fault.
You are mixing things up. What we are trying to let everyone understand is that there is an office, and office go with certain role. Right. You understand? When anyone in the office will play that role, and a wrong person was appointed to the office, automatically will play the role. What the problem is here is that we may not like the person. You understand? Yeah. But what we have to understand is that though he's wrong, the people who put him, are they also wrong or right? And I'm telling my brother, look. You see, we have it. You know, Salif Johnson, English. So what we do in ECOWAS is that when an English-speaking country does it, the man in Senegal, what is his name? I've just done it. Then it went to Liberia. Yes. So automatically it's supposed to move to another French-speaking country.
See,
the one that falls into the space is Faure.
Kofi is getting it wrong now.
Let me just read
so
one
if a thief is appointed a jury, he must educate on the story thing. He can excuse himself.
This is a message.
Of course,
a message from our Facebook page from citizen Parakweku saying that ECOWAS exists only in words but dead in action.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now let's get on the phone and let's move the conversation on. As I said before, ECOWAS really want to push the single currency. It's called Vision 2020. Let's speak to Fred Yaumenu, who is a business liaison manager for Group Indum. Fred, good morning. We're very good, thank you, Fred. Fred, this morning we're talking about ECOWAS. Okay, we've delved into where and what ECOWAS stands for. This Vision 2020 that ECOWAS wants to push, which is the single currency, Fred. Fred, is it feasible?
Well, thanks very much for having me on your program. And as you rightly know, this project is almost half my entire lifespan on planet Earth. And I really cannot tell you whether it is something that is going to work, because you see, the success of this single currency union is not a matter of politics. It's got something to do with the fundamentals, you know, the economic fundamentals which will propel the West African Economic Union into having this currency. You cannot have countries whose budget deficits are so high or skyrocketing. You cannot have individual countries in the union whose inflation has always been in double digit and triple digit and whatever. I mean, there are so many economic fundamentals, as you know, independence of central banks, corruption, a whole host of issues that will definitely work against this single currency project, even if some group got it running within the union.
Hello,
John.
Yes, Fred. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that it is feasible in the long term, but you know that before we can implement a single currency, let's look at the European Union and the model that they are running.
Yeah.
Not have countries running parallel economies than rather having something which is uniform. Because take Ghana, for example. What is our budget deficit? What did we run it in for 2016?
2016, it was 16.92%.
I mean, what are you talking about? And if you look at the convergence technical numbers, these are supposed to fall, around single digits. Let's look at inflation across the West African Economic Union. I mean, look at the inflation. They are in double digits. And these do not meet the convergence, what is it called? The criteria. Yeah. And let's look at corruption.
corruption, majority of African countries always fall, very high on the corruption index.
Yeah.
And, there are just so many things. Even what a key criteria for a successful single currency union is about trade. We do not even have the trade numbers amongst ourselves in that high percentages, where you have Nigeria being the biggest in the bloc. Even if trade within the region is very low.
Yeah.
So, if you look at the key fundamentals, can this West African single currency come into fruition in the short term? I personally believe that
let me just
someone
interject
can
in that question.
can push it, but it will not work because the fundamentals must be right.
Okay, Fred. Just one quick question for my guest in the studio.
Yeah, Fred, I don't like in the area where the dominant currency in Africa has to be in dollars. Yes, in the interim, what can we do within that block so that the tender, there will be a common tender.
Thank you.
That we can at least spend so that
Thank you.
In Senegal, we know it's acceptable. In Ghana, it's acceptable, not dollars.
Okay, right.
That is
it's
what
a
I wanted.
laudable idea, my brother. I will be the first person to support or build for the idea of a single currency. However, what we can do in the interim to make this dream a reality is that African economies must work on the fundamentals which actually underpin a successful single currency union, being one, inflation. If the prices of goods and services will skyrocket every single day, then we have a problem. Let's look at trade within ourselves. Our dependence on imported commodities are the main drivers of the fluctuations in our currency. So if within the union, we are going to step up, trading amongst ourselves. So Ghana producing, exporting to Nigeria, Nigeria producing, exporting to Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, all other countries, okay? Yeah. Working within the group and trade amongst ourselves. I think that these will be green or indicators that will actually make this single currency thing a success. Rushing to have an alternative to the dollar is not the solution for now, but rather fixing the fundamental economic problems which bedevils our continent, and especially this economic union, are the things that I think we should work assiduously on, trying to fix them within the medium term and make the implementation of the single union an appropriate thing for all of us.
Okay, Fred, thank you very much for talking to us this morning. That was Fred Maynu. Fred Maynu is the business liaison manager from Group Indum. Thank you very much, Fred, for talking to us. That was very insightful. Fred did mention, you want to come in?
Yeah, let me listen to your question.
So what I was going to say was, in theory, it sounds good, but in practical terms, as Fred, is it feasible? And Fred did mention, because the requirements, countries to achieve this single currency needs to be, the digits of inflation needs to be in single digits. And if we compare the inflations across the countries, the inflations are in double digits.
Even Nigeria, that has the biggest trade, has the double-digit inflation too.
In 2020.
So the issue here, that's why I raised the idea. It's been running in me for quite a long time. There's a model there that, look, it's not feasible because of those blocks that we just mentioned. Can we have an alternative? I mean, we have EU have a currency. Individual countries have their own currency as well. Countries have their own currency as well. And that currency, we make sure that even in UK here that we have a pounds, we still spend euros. Yeah. Now we have a place where we can easily change it. That the exchange rate is reasonable. Yeah. The money is reasonable. In Africa, for instance, now if I need to buy from I just came from Nigeria now. I'm going to tell you my small experience in Nigeria now. I just came to Nigeria, I wanted to get back to UK. I approached the bank to buy. After giving me fill the form, all this time, almost 3 days. They said, no, you are not qualified because you don't stay in Nigeria. Yes, it's my Nigerian passport there.
What do you want to do in the bank?
Just get some foreign currency so that on my way back. After about 3 days, they just told me at the point of buying purchase that I'm not qualified. Why? He said, because I don't live in Nigeria. I live outside the country. That's why I'm in Nigeria. I spend my money to come and stay in the hotel. So, but here in the United Kingdom, you don't find that. You can easily approach to any of these small places and get your money and go away. Can we get something so that when Ghanaians come to Nigeria, you don't have to go to one bureau de change that knows that, because if you want to buy dollars now, they know you are not going to spend it in Ghana. You are going somewhere. Because of that, they charge you double interest. So once you purchase that currency in Africa, you know that anywhere you go within that block, that's acceptable. It's a trade thing. That's
I highly subscribe, and I'm happy he experienced that. And from his experience, he's saying that there is something very important that has to be done. Good. The currency is long overdue. Absolutely. And the reasons are obvious. We need a common currency. Now, trade between West African countries, they are telling us we should go and look for 4% inflation, 5% budget deficit. We say it's rubbish. Already we have the CFA. The CFA is spent by Cote d'Ivoire and Niger. Go and check the two economies. In fact, Niger economy, if you are talking about double digit in our case, their own will be 10 digits. Yeah. And yet they spend the same currency. So what are we talking about? So we then said that, how come Cote d'Ivoire and Niger, Mali, Senegal, different economic parities, and yet they spend one common currency, and it's working for them? We said, the one responsible for that currency, the CFA, is France. Yeah. And therefore, and they have a central bank, CB bank for that. It's in Mali. It's not even Cote d'Ivoire. It used to be in Cote d'Ivoire. They moved it to Mali. And apart from, I think it's in Senegal. Apart from Senegal cannot be a president in the bank. Yes. But so they still receive certain level of instruction from France. Now, when these countries are trading among themselves, it's so easy because it's the same currency. Maybe you go to one place and maybe you may need more of that to buy something. But basically, and it works. Then we said, okay, how can we deal with our own? So technically, remember, West Africa, all the countries, British West African countries, we were using the British West African pounds. Where was that inflation measure? Where was that economic parity? However, now we are different economies and we've got our currencies. So we are moving because it's the currency that will manage the economies. Yes. So what we want to do now is to address these issues of inflation and so on. Where is the point of call? We said we want ECOWAS to have, because you need a super authority, because you are introducing a super currency. That is the name of the
Africa is please, countries across Africa don't trade with themselves.
We are not talking about Africa. We are talking about ECOWAS. Let's get what we are. It's a political body.
But you did mention trade.
And I'm talking about trade within West Africa. We are looking at internal trade as well as external trade. Now let's look at something. If we then say that, okay, we have challenges because the fear of President Buhari and Nigeria and those who are skeptical about the money is that if you introduce this money, what law is going to control the money and what authority is going to control the money? If everybody begin to do what they like, unlike the French-speaking country, that France control them, because Buhari even mentioned that they should solve that problem of France controlling them before we come together. So that then tell you that we need ECOWAS to be stronger and move from an advisory authority to a legislative authority. It's very important. Then what do? Let us introduce this currency. So the bank must be there. We call it.
Are you telling me that this currency will supersede individual currency?
Be patient. The next thing we will do, which fall into what you are saying, which is very important. You see, ECOWAS has got schools now, scholarship for children. They are employing people. They are doing so many things, and each country is sending.
That's fine.
Be patient.
Among member employees.
Yes. Be patient. See where I'm taking the discussion to. All these things cost money. Now, ECOWAS is paying these people. For ECOWAS to send someone from Nigeria to Togo, you pay him $1. So what ECOWAS have to do now is that, instead of using dollar to pay our staffs, we need a common currency.
Is it possible for us to adopt one first? To adopt one currency.
This is what we are. It's called ECO. What we are going to do now? What we are going to do now is that every country will keep their
currency
money.
Is called ECO.
It is called ECO. Now, all the countries will maintain their currency. Now, see where we are coming from. You maintain. You are not changing. But just like it will be pegged against the dollar. The only one who issue that currency will be the ECOWAS bank. Each country will be made to commit 20 because all the currency in each country, you just don't print.
Okay,
it's controlled by IMF.
I need to take a
so
quick break.
So what we will be doing is that
I need to go for a quick break. I still just want you to clarify a few things for me in terms of when it comes to trading, in terms of the percentage across the region, how they trade with one another. We're taking a quick break. We'll be back, and also we get more viewers' contribution. We'll be right back.
Beloved, God created man with the dust of the earth. God breathed the breath of life into mankind, so man became a living soul. It is therefore empirical to know and to understand that the earthly cannot survive without the heavenly. Faith today is designed to bring men and women of God from across the world to discuss developmental issues and current affairs backed by the scriptures and the gospels. This will enable us to have a better Ghana and a better world to live in. My name is Apostle Owahin Omaria Champon. I'm going to be your regular host. Remember, the light of God will shine. Don't miss it.
Majority of you only pay attention to us after years of unremittent persistence and rejections, whilst we challenge the way it has always been done. We have made courageous decisions many of you wouldn't dare dream, forgetting you can live it when you dream it. Wake up with an idea. Research the egg out of the idea. Write a massive business plan. Raise money and create business. Wave goodbye to friends and families as your life is now your business. Stick with it, even on the bad days. Following your massive expansion into a worldwide domination, retire to your favorite highland or go back to step one and wash, rinse and repeat.
The CEO's Chair, showing on GNTV UK.
You might ask an artist to explain his art, or ask a poet to explain his poem, but it defeats the purpose. The meaning is only clear through the search. Painting is the silence of thought, the music of sight. Painting is just another way of keeping a diary. If we could say it in words, there'll be no reason to paint.
Should be making money out there, Kofi. Thank you very much. Coming back to Talk Africa with me, John. Trust me, it's really, really getting heated here in the studio. We're not throwing blows or anything. No, we're just having serious, mature conversation, isn't it, Kofi?
The ECOWAS conversation.
The ECOWAS is spending millions and billions on staffs, on projects, right? And they spend that money in dollar. So what we want now is for the ECOWAS currency to be in circulation. What will happen is that each country will keep their currency. Now, since we have quantity of currency, so you now on the street, you can choose not to take the ECO. You understand? If I have ECO, hotel, anyone who wants to pick, I can use it. But the currency of the country, you understand, take priority. Then what you do is that when ECOWAS is going to pay you, they pay you in euro, in ECO, instead of dollar. Then you go to the bank. Every bank must accept it. You understand? And then what we are doing is that we are reducing the quantity of dollar. Then we are bringing the economy inside.
Is it not possible for Africa, for instance now?
No, not Africa. We're talking about West Africa.
For instance, as we are now, you've recognized Nigeria as the dominant factor.
Yes.
Country in that region.
Yes.
You've recognized that they had the largest volume of trade.
Yeah.
Why is it Naira not even accepted
in other West African countries.
Because here, I have my pounds here, I have my euro here.
Yeah.
I know if I go to France, I spend euro.
Yeah.
But if I pay pounds in France too, they accept it.
Yes.
So why come Naira is not even accepted in other countries?
Now, because Naira, you understand, and that's what we are struggling to let people understand. CD, Naira, and so on, at the international level, they are actually not seriously recognized. And therefore, if you come to Ghana with Naira...
What level?
Now
at the international level, if we are recognized... Be patient. If those currencies are recognized, I even took SAFA to Dalasi to Germany. They didn't take it from me, from the Bureau d'Exchange. The simple reason, apart from the economic factor, is that you see, when we have a common currency, you understand, a common currency, that currency will be accepted. It's like our passport. We have more dignity using the ECOWAS passport than we do with individual countries' passport. What we are trying to say, there is power in number. So when we introduce the ECO, which is not, because when you are exchanging, you understand, your currency, everybody know the local currency. But the problem they have is, what is the exchange rate that they have to give?
What concerns dollars between Nigeria and Ghana now? Now, why is it that in Nigeria, I cannot easily accept Ghana's cedis?
But you want dollar.
Why I cannot easily accept Naira? Why are you telling me that it's not internationally recognized? Look, I spoke to Dr. Duncan of Moi University in Kenya, who told me that until we detach ourselves from our colonial masters, things will not going to...
My brother.
Yes,
it's strange to hear that from him.
No.
This is a man we are telling that to detach ourselves, we have to attach ourselves to ECOWAS. And he said no. Now you say we should detach ourselves.
And he's giving me reasons.
Yes.
Reason, we have also pronounced those reasons here today. That the amount of trade, French colonized countries prefer to trade with France.
Yes.
British colonized economies prefer to trade with Britain.
Yeah.
And within these two countries too, there is international politics. To say that I want to maintain my colony, for as long as that continues to happen, talking of currency, talking of things, these international powers will not allow it to happen.
Hold on. Let me just chip in there, just to echo what Idris is saying. The necessity of a single currency. Hold on, I'll come to that one. This is just a quote that I got. The story is not different. For West Africa, where the trade between countries is extremely low, the sub-region largest partner, the EU, accounts for 37.8% of total trade.
Meanwhile, the EU now to ECOWAS.
Right. Now, meanwhile, Nigeria, which has the largest economy in the sub-region, exported only 2.3% and imported less than 0.5% from other West African countries in 2010.
The purpose of ECOWAS...
Has the trend changed?
Be patient.
No.
The purpose of ECOWAS is to address those problems you are talking about. Now, let's look at something.
Okay.
What is the trade, between Senegal and Niger? It's low, and yet they spend the same currency. So the issue about trade, our aim, they all trade with France. Our aim, you understand, is to come up with one common currency. And let's see how that currency play against other international currencies.
All right.
And let's see whether when you have ECO and you bring it to European Bank, or you take, because that ECO will be taken in Ghana. You understand? All banks in Ghana will take it.
I agree with that.
Or that ECO will be taking all banks in Togo. Because of that, if you bring that to Britain, let's see, remember, the pounds is already acceptable globally before the euro was formed. You understand?
Why can't we make one of the currencies here acceptable within ourselves?
One of which currency? We have 15 of them.
Let me just take a quick message from
and that's why we have the ECO.
This is from Michael. Just as Kofi said that France has some level of control on the monetary issues of the Francophone countries, is it not possible that they know the benefits from the single currency?
But they know,
so
they don't have a problem.
Pushing for it
not to happen.
Realized?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
In fact,
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Alpha Conde, the President Mahmoudou, and they are part of the task force anyway, and Alassane Ouattara. They were we have 4 presidents. Your president is one of them.
People are attached to France.
He doesn't even respect his president. Buhari was there. My president was there. I respect him. They are not idle. My president is not an idle man. He has serious business to do.
Of course, yes, I know.
And he took important time to go because he knows what that currency means. You understand? So don't let's sit down and chip in things. What we are saying here is that we have crisis on our hand. our industries, even in Ghana, if you check the number of domestic industries that are producing real goods, modern goods, you see that 70% or 80% of them are foreign owned. Yes. So, and our import are huge because we produce manufactured goods that we don't produce. Yeah. We consume them. So, import is huge foreign against domestic export. That says we need to radically tackle the internal domestic economy. To do that, we need a power beyond each of the countries because each of the countries have their politics that they play. By that politics, Ghana would rather go to Holland and go and buy egg if they need egg. Gambia go to Holland and buy egg. Maybe somewhere in Mali, the egg is available. ECOWAS will then sit down and say, you know something, we have banned the production of eggs. Nobody bring it in.
Idris, let me just ask you because Buhari was a bit cautious. I don't think he was all for the single currency.
Yes.
Yeah, he was cautious. He only asked them to look at the fundamentals very well, not to rush things. I don't understand what he meant by rush because the man we spoke to just told us now that I'm sure the man is more than 40 years old, and he said that currency has been circulation his own life. So it's only urge caution that this thing we spoke about, the fundamentals, the ideals that will make the currency a standard word. I don't want to use the word international, but I don't like that word. International, because when it comes to international, there's too much politics in it. Whatever is international here is not international there. What makes currency a dollar stronger than me? It's because I accepted to spend dollars. Yeah. If I accepted to spend naira, nobody can tell me naira is not strong. If Ghana takes naira, if Ghana and Nigeria takes cedis, we are talking of two countries within each other. Is it impossible for us to do that among ourselves?
There's no need to rush for the single currency, but to be able to use other currency within our country.
That is what I am thinking of. Look, there's nothing stopping. I don't need IMF. I don't think Nigeria and Ghana needs IMF to accept each other's currency. We are not trading with Europe to spend cedis. We are not trading with Holland to spend naira. I say if I go to Ghana, I should be able to spend naira. If Ghana has come to Nigeria, they should be able to send cedis. So what business has IMF got to do with that?
I think what my brother don't realize is that.
What business? Within those two countries, we can do that.
Be patient.
It's not impossible.
When Zimbabwe was having crisis, Zimbabwe decided to go into printing of currency. What happened? The currency depreciated. And because of that, internationally there is an understanding. We are not detaching ourselves from the rest of the world. We are part of the world. And we have to understand that you just don't print currency. Currency is attached with the quantity of goods you have. So we have to understand, else there will be unnecessary inflation. Understand that.
I'm not saying we should print. I'm not saying what I'm saying is that what prevents Ghana and Nigeria from having a common understanding.
Be patient. The reason we have so many currencies, you have to understand that. So I take CD to Nigeria. How much am I going to get in there? You go to Mala or you go to the bank. You understand? Because Nigerians don't know that currency. The same thing, Ghanaians don't know the Nigeria. We are not interested in their currency. So for you to address this issue, 15 countries, we are lucky the French-speaking countries have already got one. So out of the 8 that are French-speaking countries, I think even this country, Guinea-Bissau, so it makes it 9. I don't know the currency Cape Verde uses, but I know Guinea-Bissau. Please, Guinea-Bissau has already adopted the CFA, so you have 9. So if you have Equatorial Cape Verde adding themselves to it to spend the CFA, you have 10. So 10 are already spending one currency. You only have 5 that are the English speaking, including Liberia, that are spending different currencies. That is why we have 2 power. Now what we are saying is that all of them will spend what they are spending, but if ECOWAS is making payments, or any government is making payment within the sub-region, that payment must be in ECO. Simple as ABC. It means 20% of your CDs will be converted. 20% of your naira will be converted. That will be, so the ECO is not just coming in as paper. It will be patient. It will be a reflection of the economies, but 20% of each of them. Now as a deposit. So that 20%, if you have 1 billion naira, for example, 20% of 1 billion naira will be kept in ECO Bank. ECO Central Bank, CBE, Central Bank of ECOWAS. They will keep it there. So it means they will be issuing on your behalf 20% of ECO. Now, be patient.
I'm just telling you, Nada. You are telling me, Nada, 5 countries will come together to. I said, what is preventing Ghana and Nigeria? Who are the closest allies?
I don't think that this man understands what
No.
Right now,
if two people cannot do it,
right now, all of us, including the French-speaking ones, are spending dollar when we are cross-bordering. Remember, very important, dollar. Dangote is doing business in Ghana. We have to give him dollar because he doesn't need cedis. Now we are saying that instead of falling on somebody's currency, we should have our own. That makes sense. Now the next issue is, Buhari said something here. He said, and I want to quote, he said, and very interesting, he said, he's talking about, he said, Nigeria had earlier withdraw from the process because its key questions and concerns are ignored. Until date, none of the issue has come up as an agenda issue to be considered by the task force. Look at him, he's looking at the task force. And he said, consequently, the roadmap, which does not involve widespread consultation with national stakeholders, is not sufficiently inclusive. What the president doesn't realize is saying that when you say national consultation, isn't it? You are going to have a common currency. There are so many issues. Do you have elected representatives? Presidents are busy. Professionals are not the only ones. What you need is a parliament that will sit and discuss that currency. So the stakeholders, am I not a stakeholder in the ECO? Am I not? Are you not? We are stakeholders. So we must have our direct representatives to sit down and look at the challenges. That's
not what the
that is the purpose of
That's
parliament.
not what the president of Nigeria is saying.
That is what he's saying.
No, that's
then
not
who
what
is the stakeholder in Nigeria?
That's not what he's saying.
Who is the stakeholder in Nigeria?
That's not
Bank of Nigeria.
What he's saying is that even at that small body,
he's raising issues and nobody's taking him serious.
They've spoken about the fundamentals.
What are the fundamentals?
Of inflation.
Yes.
Of economy of country.
Yes.
It's not even in the agenda of the meeting.
Yeah. Because
it's not in the agenda of the meeting. How can you achieve
but before 4 heads of state are sitting there, you think Buhari is not an economist, he's a military man. He doesn't even have a clue.
Look.
Wait. This is not this is a head of state.
We are looking at this.
We are looking at professionals.
Kofi, this president coming to this meeting.
He's just a figurehead. There are professionals. And we say we want parliament to discuss it, you say no.
This president come to the meeting with briefs from their different lieutenants.
Hey, he doesn't have time to read. The president doesn't have time.
Come on, look at that again.
Who are the briefs? Is it not the ECOWAS?
Just give me 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute.
And besides, Nigeria is not going to manage ECO. It's ECOWAS who is going to manage ECO.
Kofi, let's just look at this. Okay, I know usually I don't like to compare the EU to ECOWAS. But then when you speak to people, they're more familiar with it. And this was at a time when Great Britain, the UK, people were thinking of UK joining the single currency.
Yes.
And at the time, Tony Blair gave the EU 5 economic tests.
Yes.
Okay. He said, and this was drafted by Gordon Brown. He says, business cycles and economic structure must be compatible enough that the United Kingdom could live within the Eurozone.
1.
Interest rates. 2. The system have sufficient flexibility to deal with both local and aggregate economic problems. 3. Adopting the euro must create conditions conducive to affirm the individuals investing in the United Kingdom. 4. The euro would enable the nation's financial service industry to remain in a competitive position internationally. And 5th, the last one, adopting the euro must promote higher growth, stability, and long-term increase.
And let me.
With the British way of doing things, they give a condition that they cannot meet, so that they cannot join them.
Do you know if you read what Gordon Brown just read, what he is giving? Do you know who is giving the condition to? He's not giving condition to Britain, no. He is giving condition to European Union.
Yes.
Now listen to me. Listen, be patient with me. Now listen, he's giving. So he's saying the Eurozone must meet this condition to allow us have confidence to join
Simply because if they join, they will definitely...
Now listen to me.
The pounds will be submerged now.
They have, be patient, they have a very strong pound. Listen, they have a very strong pound and a very strong economy. So they are looking at their economic strength vis-a-vis the EU
and the challenges.
Be patient. Now, when you come to Nigeria, be paid for God's sake. My brother couldn't even change his naira. We are talking about serious issue. So you are not telling Nigeria who are they giving a condition to? Hey, Nigeria, you are down like anyone.
Calm down.
Nigeria is just like anyone. Who are we fooling?
Here, it's just told
who
us.
Is he giving conditions?
He just told us on this table that Nigeria has the biggest economy in Africa.
Yeah.
In the South sub-region. Nigeria exported the biggest trade. Dangote, all of them are in different African countries. The problem why we can't have that thing is not peculiar to Africa alone. It has an international coloration. And we have to accept that.
Yes, and then, so how do we deal with that?
It has an international coloration. Now, a group of people who don't want to go anywhere have adopted CIFA now. That's what we want to do. And when there's a small problem there, France can send me soldiers to come and help me. And anytime France is done with that president, they dispatch him away. We see the way they disgrace Togo. So the issue here is beyond this continent. We need to detach.
Now,
we need to trade more amongst ourselves.
Be patient.
We need to go to schools among ourselves. We need to go on tourism amongst ourselves. We need to have confidence in ourselves. Let's take this one for the first. Let's take this currency for the start.
You are saying we need to.
Do that.
Like we don't know we have to do that. Listen, we put it in our clause.
1 minute.
We put it in our clause that freedom of goods and services and persons, isn't it? What does that mean? So we want to be with ourselves. Now, when we are talking about France, right? If there's a problem in West Africa, the way we approach the problem is what determines how the West Africa and the French will come in. If we are having our power concentrated as we want to, because what is moving to the ECOWAS is what we call sovereign power. You understand? You cannot keep sovereign power and you're not using it for anything actually. And when we say Nigeria has the biggest trade in West Africa, you have the biggest population. That doesn't mean you are doing anything special. This is a natural advantage. Right. And we want that natural advantage to reflect. So when we are dealing with the Chinese, we are dealing with the Americans, we are dealing with the Russians, we will use that way. And here you are saying, no. You want to sit down Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
You are lucky the colonial masters created you Nigeria. They will have broken you into pieces.
We will come back to this issue again.
So you agree that they break them into pieces.
My time is up. I need to go. I just want to say a very big thank you to all my guests. Thank you to Idris. Thank you to Kofi Ali. Thank you to all people who call in. Okay, Idris, I've been told I can give you 30 seconds to wrap up, okay?
What I'm saying is that the conditions for common currency in Africa is not possible.
We are not talking about Africa. We are talking about West Africa. No.
Condition for common currency.
We are talking about we are not talking about Africa. We are talking about
Africa. I admit that.
Yes. That
the condition for common currency in ECOWAS is not possible. We can. If you keep our flirtation on that currency, it's because we don't want to do anything.
All right, because we don't want to do anything. We definitely want to do something. Make sure you keep the conversation going. You can go to our Facebook page, continue the conversation, and we'll carry on. I'm sure this topic will come up again.
We will lose your naira.
We'll delve into things. Kofi, thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Till we meet again, same place, same time tomorrow. Stay safe. Thank you.
One want to bring democracy together.
This program is brought to you by Pay Global.